Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Insane Worlds. 5. Got a loaf? Interestingly, there are actually several seafaring superstitions centered on baked bread. Who knew? For one, English sailors adhered to their nation's custom of any bread baked on Good Friday being lucky. So when Good Friday rolled around, sailors jammed bakeries to get a loaf or two, or three or four for their voyage. That bread was said to ensure safe passage across the sea. And just to be doubly sure about that, as the ship was leaving port, sailors would toss pieces of bread directly into the sea. That legend claimed helped guarantee good weather for the voyage ahead. Something tells us the seagulls in each port city didn't mind that superstition one bit. The English and their French frenemies also had a thing about upside-down bread on board boats. This legend actually began on land. 4. No women, no gingers. Sorry, women, and sorry, redheads of all genders. Historical customs dictated that women were not allowed on board the ship after it had set sail. Women on merchant ships and military crafts were supposedly guaranteed to bring the boats bad luck. Their mere presence was said to make the seas angry. Plus, they were supposedly such a distraction to sailors that the maritime men were said to make bad navigational choices and weather decisions in the presence of the fairer sex, actually considering how touch-starved sailors would have been after months alone at sea. Perhaps there really is something to that last part, but it's absurd to blame shipwrecks on women, right? It's doubly ironic to note that no women's superstition, if only because boats have virtually always been named after women. In ancient history, all ships were dedicated to goddesses. In more modern times, female figureheads were sculpted to the bow of boats. 3. Broken eggshells. If you thought sailors didn't want women aboard their ships, you likely can't even imagine how badly they tried to avoid witches. In one of the oldest sailing superstitions of them all, captains and their crews have been said to be dead set on avoiding witchcraft while on board. This one actually goes back all the way to the 1st century AD. During that era, Pliny the Elder noted how sailors were already breaking eggshells on board ships to keep witches away. The ancient world was rife with superstition, so maybe it's not surprising to learn that. But what is interesting is how long that custom was kept up. By the Middle Ages, witches were said to be able to sail the high seas using just a hollowed-out eggshell as a boat. Those must have been some tiny witches, of course. But sailors and land lovers were horrified at the idea of witches having free rein to trade all over the world's waterways, so sailors began taking used up eggshells and cracking them into little tiny pieces on board. Number 2. Cats got your boat. We've learned by now that sailors spent much of their lives trying desperately to avoid things, from women to witches, redheads, albatrosses, and some red skies. But there was one thing they loved having on board: cats. Cats were said to be good luck for sea-going ships. For one, they served a very practical purpose. For centuries, leaky wooden ships filled with all kinds of cargo were magnets for rat infestations down below deck. Having a cat or two or three on board helped solve these problems, as cats became loyal companions, or at least loyal rat killers for sailors away at sea. They became extremely prized and valued for how much they helped solve rat issues. In time, cat behavior became part of sailing lore. If a cat ever approached a sailor and stayed around him for a moment or two, that was said to bring the man good luck. But if the cat turned his back on a sailor, the feline was supposedly warning the man of bad luck ahead. To game the system a bit, sailors across the centuries were known to feed on board cats very well. 1. Don't dare whistle. It turns out that whistle while you work is very much a dryland phenomenon. Whistling on board a ship is said to be a great way to tempt fate. Sailors believed whistling would alert the ocean's gods to kick up storms, so anyone whistling while out at sea was supposedly just asking for high winds and bad rain. Some sailing outposts even held that the simple sound summoned Satan himself. Work was expected to be done in silence, or at the very least, while chanting, calling out, or even singing work songs. Repetitive though it may be, singing 99 bottles of beer on the wall was said to tempt fate in a far less significant way than mindlessly whistling while on deck. Of course, that song's endless refrain may wind up tempting Santa a bit, but that's a separate issue. Anyway, there actually seems to be a legitimate reason for the no whistling superstition too. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.